Welcome to the Quark and Road podcast. I am Kwok Pui Lan. In this podcast, I will speak with leading intellectuals, religious leaders, and activists to talk about their life and work. Today, my guest is my former colleague at the Episcopal Divinity School, Karen Montagno. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Karen, can you share with us why art is important in your life?
Art is important in my life because it gives me the opportunity for creativity. It's almost like cooking. You can make something and observe it and feel hopefully proud of whatever expression that you have to be in the world and reflect the world, whether it's watercolors or just scribble scrabble. It's an opportunity, it's an outlet for me, an opportunity to be in myself and also in the world as well. So art has always been a part of my life, even when I was a child. And I would take classes in ceramics, take classes in painting, take classes in sculpting. And it's been very important to me because it's a part of my creativity, my creative life, a way that I can express however I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sad, I can make a piece. If I'm feeling joyful, I can make a joyful piece. It's also been a part of my spirituality. And so I have always tried to take classes ongoing in craft work, simple things like candle making, simple things like watercolor, because it feels to me very freeing and it's expressive to me of whatever I'm thinking about or however I'm feeling. And I like to make a mess.
We have several art pieces here from you, and I would like to share this with the audience. Can you tell us about this piece?
Yes. When I was living in New Jersey, there'd be times in the summer where they would open the fire hydrants and the children would play by the fire hydrants and frolic. And so this was one scene that I remember when they opened the fire hydrant. It always gives me a good feeling to look at that and remember.
What about this one, showing the face of a little child?
So that's my oldest son. And so I drew that from a photograph of him when he was a baby with a big floppy hat on. And I always thought it was sweet and cute, but that's him.
What about this one? This is very nice. A plate, isn't it?
It's an oblong plate. You could use it for refreshments. I just look at it because I think it's pretty. And this was made with clay and basically rolling out clay like you would do dough and shaping it over something. A lot of times hand building requires shaping it by turning it over something. And this one, I just like the colors because it's blue. And then it also has some vegetation on each side. And it was really healing to make it because it takes your mind off, or it took my mind off whatever troubles I thought I was having at the time.
This one is very special.
Yes, I like it too, because they can be separated, but they're usually not. Two people in prayer with their heads together, supporting each other. And I thought that was a challenge because it's more realistic. And I was very satisfied when I was able to complete it.
This one shows a mother and a child or something like that?
Yes, it's part of what I call the Madonna series. So it's a Madonna and her children. And this one is what they call pastels. Some people think of it as chalk. And so I really enjoyed doing the children, looking at the mother. And this was when I only had two. So I really enjoyed that one as well. And that's what I say when I get messy. Because sometimes when you work with that kind of material, your fingers get messy.
It is very sad that kids sometimes do not get training in art, or there is no emphasis on art education.
I think so. And I'm hoping that trend will not continue because some people think that art or music is an add-on. And I think it's part of the growth for children. And it's what I mean, their development. But it's also a way in which they can express themselves, especially through their art. I have a friend who is an art therapist, and she works a lot with different ages in expressing with different kinds of material how they are feeling at any point in time. It's part of their therapy, I guess. So it's therapeutic for me as well.
Karen, you have been involved in this group that is called Mom Demands Action. Can you tell us what this organization is about?
This is a national organization, and it may be international, that comes together around gun violence prevention. And we also lobby with our representatives. We also attend fairs, like when the community gathers. We work in collaboration with other organizations in the city on gun violence prevention. We also work with the authorities, the police. Collaboration is a really good presence, and collaboration is a really important aspect and advocacy in the community.
You told me a very sad story leading you to be involved in this group. Can you share that story with us?
The story is that one of my friends was in a troubled relationship, and her husband shot her and then killed himself. The most unfortunate part of it is that her children were in the home and they were exposed to that. And so that was a very difficult time for everybody. And essentially, they became orphans because of this action.
And then you have been involved. Did you see other moms involved? Are they also people who were affected by gun violence?
Generally, yes. There could be supporters, like a friend of yours, a colleague, someone you're acquainted with has been involved in the action of someone who's creating violence. And so supporters of their colleagues and friends. So they may not have had it perpetrated upon them, but they are there in support of other people and in the community as well.
Given that the gun lobby is so strong in this country, what are the hopes for these moms who wants to take action?
Well, the hopes are to stand in support and solidarity because in Ohio, there's an open carry law. And recently we had an incident in Cincinnati where some neo-Nazis were up on an overpass between two Black communities. And so those are the kinds of things that we get involved with, trying to heal and also training and trying to support the communities that are involved and helping them think about what is their dream and vision for their community.
You have co-edited the book, Justice, the Care of the Soul. Can you say something about the book?
This book is about spiritual care. It's about looking at various contexts because so often when we think about spiritual care or spirituality, we think of the traditional way that it's done. In this book in particular, it covers a variety of contexts from their own words. What is spiritual care for them? And what does justice look like in spiritual care and spirituality and theology? Some of them are religious people. Others are activists. What does it mean to do healing in the various contexts? And it's a series of essays by a wide variety of people from different contexts, which I think is so important right now because community is important rather than division, because it seems like we're going towards separation. And this is an opportunity for practitioners, those who are dealing in particular communities, to speak about their work and what are the values and important practices that they have found that work with their constituents.
You are a leader in religious education and also in churches.
Yes.
Must have seen many difficult situations when women leaders could not exercise their authority. Can you share with us how did you overcome some of the challenges that you have faced or you have seen other women leaders face?
For me, a big role in this is working with other women who are in spiritual leadership and offering support and care and a place for them to be heard, and also challenging those institutions that would exclude women from leadership, because there still are many. And so to be able to support them, but also to provide opportunities for them to exercise their gifts and their vision. So hang in with the women.
Kind of self-care or spiritual practices you do?
I do meditation. We do walk together. We share a book club where we're reading and learning. One of my spiritual practices, as I was saying earlier, is I go to Zoom meetings where people, women and men and others, are talking about their lives and what is important to them and what is healing for them.
What are your advice for the upcoming generation of leaders?
My advice would be to follow your dreams and do not be turned around by systems, and also to participate with others in leadership. And I keep using this word healing because I feel like we really need healing right now. And so that would be my advice. And do not isolate yourself. Be with others, share with others, care for others.
Do you have any suggestions for church leaders, pastoral workers to help people who are in distress?
I think the important thing is to listen to what they have to say, the folks that are in distress, and also to invite them to gatherings where they can do art if that's what they want to do. There's a genre called spoken word, which is poetry that the young people mostly do, movement, also health practices.
How can we include more art in our worship and liturgical life?
I think that we could include it by making space for art in the liturgy, say in the same place where your prayers of the community would be. It might be a good opportunity for the art forms to be the prayers, even if it's drawing with colored pencils. I think that also it could be done after worship as a liturgical practice. I've seen art being used for if there's an altar or a central focus. Art can be used for that. It can be people make an art piece and then display it. And then it gives them an opportunity to reflect on what was their spiritual experience. To me, it's like music or whatever kind of form you're using to allow people to express and lament sometimes.
Indeed, because art helps us to access our
Yes.
emotions that are so deep out words.
Yes.
And you also write poem too, do you?
Yes.
And tell us about that.
I write short poems that express, sometimes when I'm having meditation time, something will come into my mind and I'll try to write it down. And it's not always perfect the first time, but that's okay because it's is what came into my mind and allows me to another form of expression, what I'm thinking. It could be as simple as writing with colored pencils or any other kind of expression is coming from me to the world.
Can you read this poem that you have written?
I don't always sing, but today, like some lone bird perched in a spacious place, morning beams open the lips of my heart, and my voice rises in song.
Thank you very much, Karen. If you like this episode, Please click subscribe, like, and comment so that this episode can reach more people. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.